Gonna spin the block. Then let him spin the block so I can drop him off where he's standing.
What's going on, you guys? So there's something I've been noticing. Something I've been noticing in the boxing community when we talking about the welterweights, right? The most, in my opinion, the most popular topic in boxing is what's going on with the welterweights. But before we continue, hit that like button for your boy, man. Y'all hit that like button, man. I think y'all don't be hitting the like button enough for your boy Bushido. But one thing I noticed, right, when we talking about Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Boots, Ennis, all the other guys that's in the welterweight division, one thing that fans fail to acknowledge is the fact that a lot of these young fighters, Virgil Ortiz, Ennis, they was in the WBO rankings. Crawford took a voluntary with Averagesian, top 10 welterweight, number 6 in the WBO, short notice. But Virgil Ortiz was right there next in line, right? Now we know that Golden Boy wasn't going to let Virgil Ortiz go over there to BOK Prime. And as we saw, Golden Boy wins the purse bid, so Elamante Stanionis has to go over there to fight him. But Virgil Ortiz was next in line to face Terrence Bud Crawford, right? He could have sat and waited till his mandatory got enforced or should I say mandated. But no, he decided to go hop over there and fight Elamante Stanionis. John Boots Ennis was also one of the top guys in the WBO. Now, there was a narrative Terrence Crawford should have fought Boots. But would have Showtime let John Boots Ennis go over there to BOK Prime. Let's be honest. BOK Prime, they vote is pretty full right now. They got a lot of money to throw around in boxing, let alone to make some big fights. But would Golden Boy had to put those young fighters in there with Terrence Bud Crawford in a month's notice? I highly doubt it. But this also brings up this question. Why did they leave the WBO? Why did Virgil Ortiz leave the WBO rankings if his world title shot was right there with Terrence Bud Crawford? Now, of course, if he beat Elamante Stanionis, he'll be next in line to fight the WBA anyway. And let's not get it misconstrued. That's a great matchup between two up-and-coming young contenders. But why did he leave the WBO rankings if he wanted to really fight Terrence Crawford, who always fights his mandatories? John Boots Ennis, the phenomenal young prodigy John Boots Ennis, was also highly rated in the WBO. But for some reason, he decided to go the IBF route. And now he's going to be fighting Karen, I forgot his last name, from Ukraine, for the IBF intern. And now he's going to be next in line to fight Errol Spence. So it's looking to me, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's looking to me like these guys really don't want to fight Terrence Crawford like we may have thought, because they right there. John Boots Ennis could have sat and waited in the WBO. Of course, he's highly rated in IBF as well. But let's be real. All these guys, these young fighters was rated in all the sanctioned bodies. But once they start to fight for these regular titles and these interim titles, then they kind of get X'd out of the other sanctioned bodies. So now Terrence Crawford has nobody really, as far as the Boots Ennis, the Virgil Ortizes of the world, to fight. Why did they leave the WBO rankings if they really wanted to fight Terrence Crawford? It seemed like everybody going after Errol Spence. The elusive Errol Spence Jr. Maybe they see Errol Spence as a more winnable fight than Terrence Crawford. Not to mention their handlers, right? We could say the fighters will fight. The fighters will fight. But their handlers may not feel that their fighters could beat Terence Crawford, right? Under certain circumstances. David Iverisian was a guy that was kind of ready to go. It was months' notice, and they put on the show. But I scratch my head as to when I see these guys arguing amongst each other on various social media platforms, they fail to mention that these guys was right there to fight Terence Crawford. Right there. Terence Crawford would have had to fight a mandatory sooner than later anyway. And when we looking at Errol Spence Jr., the man that's holding 3 of the belts in the division, and if you ask the right person, they say he's somewhat holding up the division. It may not be as easy to get Errol Spence in the ring than it would be a Terence Crawford. With Errol Spence, what have we learned over the years? Well, he tends to get injured outside of the ring. Whether it's a car accident, whether it's a detached retina, whatever you may call it, whatever it may be, Errol Spence seems to be really elusive to get in the ring. I mean, let's be honest, Terence Bud Crawford still haven't gotten a fight with Errol Spence Jr. And this has been the thing we've been talking about for about 4 years now. For some years now, we've been talking about Spence and Crawford fighting. And it seemed like once we was right there at that point of that fight happening, things just fell apart. Now we got to hit the reset button and try again in 2023. But I scratch my head as to why. Because Terence Crawford is a prideful guy. And we can't ask a champion guy to look down to really press a fight with these younger dudes. I mean, that's their job. Terence Crawford's one of the dudes at the top of the mountain in the sport of boxing. Errol Spence Jr. is the same. However, Errol Spence Jr. got 3 of the belts. So now he has to fight these guys if mandated. Terence Crawford's the WBO super champion. He's obligated to go up and wait to face the WBO champion in the higher weight division. And we also know the WBO also likes to do their mandatories. I still scratch my head as to why guys like Jaron Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz decided to opt out of the WBO altogether and go towards the Errol Spence route. It seemed like they decided to go the Errol Spence route versus the Terence Bud Crawford route. And let's be honest, if you fight Terence Crawford now, today, you're going to get paid a pretty penny. David Iverisian got his career high payday fighting Terence Bud Crawford on BLK Prime. So one would imagine Virgil Ortiz, who's getting what the purse bid for standing on this? I think like $500,000 or something like that. He's getting, right? Maybe a little bit more. He would have got more money to fight Terence Crawford on BLK Prime. Jaron Boots Ennis would have definitely got his career high payday fighting Terence Bud Crawford on BLK Prime. But see, if you ask the Crawford detractors, they'll say, oh, well, he ain't choosing to fight them. Well, it's not his job. He's a veteran in the game. Been there, done that. I've been touching world titles. I've been undisputed before. I've been the ring champion in 2 weight classes. Been there, done that. A lot of you guys are playing catch up. But unfortunately for these young fighters, they're playing catch up, but they may not be able to catch up as long as Errol Spence still holding those 3 belts. So now we're looking at Errol Spence Jr., the unified welterweight champion of the world, who many fans want to see him fight Terence Bud Crawford this year in 2023, if you ask the right group of fans. I mean, it seemed like the guys who are diehard Spence fans, they don't really seem to. I don't see the urgency on them to press their guy to fight Terence Crawford and end this civil war amongst fans once and for all. Because let's be real. Before this civil war started, everybody was fans of Bud. Everybody was fans of Spence. We all were fans of both of these guys. But things got divided within time. Terence Bud Crawford is still standing out here with that WBO belt in his hand. It's not his job to go press Boots Ennis. It's not his job to go press Virgil Ortiz. That's the sanction body's job. He's looking after the champions. the Errol Spence Jr.'s of the world, the Jamel Charlos of the world, right? Oh, well, why did he fight Averesian? Well, it was a short notice fight, and he had to get something in for 2022, right? He had to get something in. He had to get it in for 2022. Not to mention it was a $10 million guarantee, 40% pay-per-view guarantee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But with PBC, they wasn't offering Terrence Crawford such things. So, really, I'm looking at it like this. Fans gonna believe and say what they want. Some fans have got agendas here. I'm just calling it how I see it. Those guys like Jaron Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz Jr. wanted to fight Terrence Bud Crawford, they would have stayed in the WBO rankings. Because let's be honest, Terrence Crawford ain't gonna run from nobody. He's a very prideful guy. He's very prideful. And if mandated, he would have took the fight. He'll take the fight, without a doubt. But now Errol Spence is in that predicament to where he has to deal with these guys. And I believe that these guys see Errol Spence as the easier fight, an easier route to get all the belts. Terrence Bud Crawford is a more disciplined fighter. He's a more active fighter, right? Not as active as he's probably would like to be. And let's be honest, a lot of welterweights ain't really that active as they should be. But with Errol Spence and his lack of inactivity, him getting injured, stuff like that happening, it puts a halt on the welterweight division. It puts a halt on the whole division. And then before we know it, these young fighters that was 24 years old is going to be pushing 30, and they still haven't even touched the world title yet. So I scratch my head as to why they left the WBO rankings. By Jaron Ennis fighting for the IBF interim, he's out of there. He's out of the WBO rankings now. By Virgil Ortiz getting the heck up out of Dodge and fighting Stanionis for the WBA, he's also out of the rankings. But why did they make that move? Tell me what you guys think. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.